Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino on this Friday morning edition. Ronnie Rants alongside TK, Tommy Chrysan, who's joining us from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in the heart of Baton Rouge over there by Parkview Baptist off Airline High School. Hope everybody's having a great one. Got a big sports weekend coming up. LSU Ole Miss. We're going to find out a lot about both of these teams. LSU has an opportunity on the road with a win against Ole Miss to solidly state their case for being one of the top teams in the country, and going into an off week, a chance to regroup going into October, and people can really start thinking, hey, playoffs are a real possibility. And Ryder Cup is going on in golf, one of the great golf events that there is every 2 years. The Ryder Cup, it's up at Bethpage Black. We saw video from 5:30 this morning, just absolutely packed. First hole, crowd yelling and screaming. We're underway right now, TK. Why don't you hit the refresh button and tell us what is the latest at the Ryder Cup as we speak? And oh, by the way, while Tommy's looking it up, Joel Davis, our own JD, is at the Ryder Cup today. He is there today. Not going to be there tomorrow. He's there today. You'll hear from him tomorrow on Sports Shorts Radio. He'll be on at. We'll have him on at 1 o'clock tomorrow. So at 1 p.m. Central Time. Oh, by the way, Sports Shorts is from 12:30 to 2:30 tomorrow because of the pregame show for LSU football, etc. So not the normal 10 to noon. If you tune in 10 to noon, you'll hear a great pregame show for LSU football. Tune in from 12:30 to 2:30 tomorrow for Sports Shorts Radio. I'll be with Joel Davis in Oxford, and we'll do a live interview and report from Oxford at 1 p.m. tomorrow, and we'll get a chance to talk to Joel about his Ryder Cup experience. You know how they have all the crazy yelling fans and the wacko fans. Guarantee you he's one of them. TK, give us an update at the Ryder Cup.
Well, right now, and in fact, if you want to get into the Ryder Cup, there's a free app. Just search Ryder Cup, and they got scores, highlights. You can stream it if you can't get by the TV or the computer. And right now, there's 4 matches underway. U.S. leads in 1 match. Shockley and Cantlay are 2 up. The other 3 matches, U.S. is getting their butts kicked. DeChambeau and Thomas are down 3. Scheffler and Henley are down 4. And Morikawa and English are down 5. So 4 matches underway.
Wow.
3-1 Europe. And what's really cool, right? I don't know if people can see this. On the app, there's a running thing up on top where they show you the scoring. And I mean, it doesn't take you long to figure out where exactly it's at if you get that free Ryder Cup app. I was up a little early this morning. I was watching some of it. You're right. It was packed on the first hole. And of course, red's the color for USA, blue the color for Europe. And, a lot of missed opportunities for the USA team this morning. Justin Thomas missed 2 putts from inside 6 feet. Both of them lipped out. I mean, but hey, that's the Ryder Cup. That's the pressure. USA, Europe, and a long way to go. Okay, and the USA's got to get 14.5 points to win the Cup. 14 would retain it for Europe. So, again, get that Ryder Cup app if you're into the golf thing, and you'll be able to keep up like instantly on your phone, or put it on your iPad, whatever you got going, and you'll be able to stay up with the Ryder Cup.
What would be interesting is if, obviously it's not a good start right now, just a few hours into the Ryder Cup for the first part of the day. They'll obviously have matches in the second part of the day, but it would be something if the United States get their butt whooped and the only day that Joel Davis goes to the Ryder Cup, So needless to say, we'll have fun with that. So there is a silver lining, even if they do lose today and don't play well, is that we get to give Joel a hard time tomorrow on Sports Shorts. Obviously, the LSU Tigers and Ole Miss is the story of the weekend here in Louisiana. The other big games too going on, trust me, but the one that we care about the most, LSU and Ole Miss. Tigers are a 1.5-point dog on the road. You like the Tigers, you're going to take the money line like you do.
Yeah. No secret. I said it at the Business Network of Ascension and some other friends. I think LSU wins 24-17, which the over-under has climbed to 57.5. It was sitting at 54, 55. It's jumped up a little. It could be some value on the under. And I bet LSU plus 105, just a notch above even on the money line, because I think they're going to win the game straight up. Everybody's talking about the LSU running game. Can they run it? Will they run it? I don't know. I just got this feeling that the defense is going to keep Ole Miss at 17 points or maybe even less. You got Lane Kiffin's pretty good calling plays and finding a weak spot in the defense. And Derek Beckwith and I talked about that on Wednesday here on Sports Shorts Daily. So I think LSU gets it done. It's a 2:30 kick in Oxford. The weather's supposed to be perfect, and the Tigers would be great to get off to that 5-0 start because then you got an open date. They don't play on October 4th. And then you got Carolina coming to town, who's not quite as good as some people thought they were in August. So a lot on the line with the Rebels and the Tigers this Saturday.
So the thing that the thing that LSU's got going for them is they're on the road against a backup quarterback. Now, Trinidad Chambliss has played very well the last 2 weeks, threw for over 300 yards off the bench early in the game 2 weeks ago. And then, of course, last week in a start against Tulane, had another day, rushed for over 100, threw for over 300. But you mean to tell me that LSU is going to go on the road and lose to a quarterback from Ferris State College, where he went to school last year in Michigan? Gun to the head. No one watching this knows where Ferris State College is without Googling it. Okay. If your life and your family's life was dependent on it, you had to find it on a map and put it, on Google Maps and say, there it is. Let me
Boom.
show you. You're not going to make it. So, um, I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, if you told me before the season that they were going to have that opportunity to go on the road and they're not going to face their Ole Miss starter, going to face their backup quarterback who was at Ferris State College a year ago, I'd like their chances. Now, that would be one of the more unbelievable stories, TK, of the sports world if Garrett Nussmeier, the Heisman Trophy favorite, after week one of the season, goes on the road and loses to the quarterback from Ferris State College. It would blow out all NIL, all the things, right? I mean, we got to start really reevaluating what we know if that happens. But so that's the storyline to me is that I think Ferris State's going to show up at some point. Like it can't stay on this magical carpet ride, can it?
No, and again, we really believe Blake Baker's defense is the real deal. Okay. And, we're going to find out that against a very good offensive coordinator, the chess match that'll go on between those two. And then, of course, can LSU run the ball? I think Juwan Johnson's going to be counted on. Cade Durham's going to be a game time decision. Got an ankle that's not feeling great. And then, of course, Harlem Berry, the freshman out of Metairie, they're saying he's really, really good. He's got to learn the protection stuff. That's part of being a running back. So they're going to have to be able to run the ball. Derek Beckwith said Wednesday, when it's 3rd and 1 at midfield, or your own 40-yard line, you got to pick up that first. And you got to be able to run the football to win in the SEC. Derek talked about that a lot on Wednesday. So that's the unknown. If they can run if they rush for 120 yards as a team, I don't care if two guys have 60 yards. Clearly think they win the game.
I feel a little bit more comfortable about the under 57.5. I mean, I don't love that spread because you just know traditionally you would think this LSU Ole Miss game would be a high scoring affair, but LSU is a different team than what we probably thought they would be going into the season. The defense is what they hang their hat on, and obviously you got a quarterback that they feel like they can do some things against, and so. It's going to be just a fantastic game. I will be there. Joel Davis will be there. We'll have a report for you at 1 p.m. Central Time. We'll have a pregame report. We'll hear about the Ryder Cup. We'll hear about LSU, Ole Miss. Can imagine Joel Davis in the Grove. That's what's going to happen
Oh
tomorrow.
man,
The guy was at the Ryder Cup one day, the Grove the next. I mean, I'm glad that JD's finally spending all of his Woodenhaven money.
Ronnie, I got a question for you. Have you? I know you've been to Oxford many times. Have you been there for a football game and walked through the Grove?
I have, yeah. I was probably LSU, Ole Miss, maybe not maybe the last couple times, but I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times ago I went. Most recently, probably pre-COVID. I don't think I went to LSU, Ole Miss post-COVID, so
Well,
pre-COVID. But
for those fans who are heading up there, this has been 20 years ago, but I went up there to cover the game as a member of the media, and I remember walking through the Grove. because I'd heard about it, this, that, the other, Ronnie. And you know what my first question was? Where is the admissions office? Because there was so many beautiful women. I figured I gotta come. I gotta come to school. I was like, where is the admissions office? I want to apply for admission to this school. And that was at the time when they were like 4 out of 5 of the Miss USA's were Ole Miss students, in the pageant or whatever. So I was looking for the admissions office after I walked through the Grove. So you Tiger fans that are heading up there, get a good cocktail in your hand and walk through the Grove. I promise you, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, no, definitely pretty. I mean, it's amazing. I don't know how they put so many people. By the way, too. I mean, it's gotten out of hand. All right, so we talked about LSU. Let's talk about the Saints for a minute, just for a
Do we
second. We're
have to,
obligated
Ronnie? I mean,
contractually to do that. 15 and a half point underdog at Buffalo. I do have some friends from the Lafayette area that are going on a guy's trip up there. I think they're doing the Toronto thing, doing the game and all that. That'll be a lot of fun. I hope everything off the field. No, I hope they go see Niagara Falls. Do whatever you got to do because the game shouldn't be close. It's one of the few times where I like a 15 and a half point favorite in the NFL. Normally, I would always take the dog on a giant spread like that. Any spread that's really 2 touchdowns or more in the NFL, you should pretty much, as a rule of thumb, take the underdog. But in this one, I can't in good conscience.
well, the over under is 47 and a half, and I can't see the Saints scoring more than 10 points. So, if Buffalo wins 35-10, the game's under. So, and if Buffalo gets up, they're going to hand the ball off and, run the clock and take the air out of it or whatever. So I think the under might be the value there. Or, you got to lay the 15 and a half based on what we know about the Bills, what we know about the Saints. Maybe you go a little more money on the under. You just got to make your decision on that. And of course, you can do all that at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at LeBear's, where we'll be tomorrow for radio. And again, let me throw this back on the screen. Tomorrow, we're on the air 12:30 to 2:30, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, on ESPN Radio. So make a note of that. We'll promote it on social media in the morning.
I definitely TK. I mean, I can't believe I'm going to do it, but I am going to take Buffalo 15, for 15 and a half point favorite. That is a ton of points in the in the NFL, not
Yeah.
necessarily in college, but in the NFL. I mean, you got to keep in mind the other guys are pros too. But man, that was so disastrous last week at Seattle. And even we saw the good. I think really we saw about as well as they can play right now, Tommy, in the first couple weeks in the dome. But man, you take them on the road in a different environment against a Super Bowl contender in the Buffalo Bills. I just don't see any way possible that they have a chance in this game.
And oddly enough, the best player for the Saints so far has been Spencer Rattler. All the questions about the quarterback and would he beat out Chuck. The first 2 games, the Saints were in the game in the fourth quarter. And he threw that one ball towards the end zone that could have potentially tied the game with an extra point in the opener against the Cardinals. But, so I don't know. It's just, it's kind of, it's not going to be pretty for the Saints fans. You might want to pick another NFL team to root for a little bit.
Well, the other thing too there, TK, is that uh, there's been talk this week that since Russell Wilson's getting benched, Jackson Dart is going to start. So now you have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston both on the bench for the Giants, and most people seem to think, well, if you're going to go with Jackson Dart, you got to trade one of them, right? I mean, Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston are kind of the same guy at this point in the sense that you got these 2 former greats that are now backups, and you get some value for them. And there was some talk that maybe the Saints would try to get Russell Wilson. I don't want them to get Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston for that matter, and I like them both. The issue is that you got 2 young quarterbacks that you put draft picks in. You need to see what they can do and decide because we know if you get Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston, it's a band-aid. It's not, Russell Wilson's probably not going to rejuvenate his career and all of a sudden be the guy for the next 3-4 years in New Orleans. It would be a, hey, yeah, can Russell Wilson be an upgrade from a rookie quarterback and a second-year quarterback who was a fifth-round pick? Can he be an upgrade maybe for this year? Yeah, sure, but you're going to suck this year anyway. You're not doing
Right.
anything with Russell Wilson. So save your draft picks. Don't even worry about all that. Just play Shuck and Rattler. And if you go 0 and 17, you go 0 and 17, but at least come out at the end of the year and feel like you have an evaluation and a knowledge of whether or not either of these two quarterbacks can be your guy moving forward.
I agree completely. I mean, the Saints mathematically aren't eliminated from the playoffs, but for all intents and
They
purposes,
may
they're
be after
eliminated.
this week. Yeah.
They're not going to be in the playoffs. Okay, it's not going to happen. So don't give up even a fourth, fifth round pick, a
Yeah.
third round pick, whatever you might have to give. Don't do that because you're rebuilding. You're clearly in a rebuilding mode. You need as many picks as you can get. Go with Rattler, and if all of a sudden you want to change the Shuck, do it. I mean that's got to be the plan for the Saints. It's kind of obvious to most people. Let's hope it's obvious to the front office and the Saints.
There's a lot of people that don't pay attention to Major League Baseball until right now, to the postseason, and the postseason's about to start. Looking forward to it. One of the storylines that's really we haven't talked a lot about, and nationally it hasn't gotten the run that you would normally think something like this would, is the year that Cal Raleigh's having up with the Seattle Mariners. And I think there's the issue, right? He's playing in Seattle, Tommy. But the guy, we have a switch hitting catcher that just hit 60 home runs in the American League. That's only been done by 4 people ever in the American League, and none of them were catchers. But yet on the other side, you got a guy in Aaron Judge, TK, who's got 51 homers, who's batting 330 on the season in New York for the Yankees, the number one franchise in the world. And who's done now 4 years in a row where he's had 50 homers. And TK, my question to you is that who's going to be the MVP?
Well, I think it should be Cal Raleigh. It's hard enough to hit from one side of the plate, much less hit from both sides, and the wear and tear that happens to a catcher. And we all know catchers, and we all know the wear and tear that they take. But I hope he wins it. I think he deserves to win it, but he kind of gets lost being in Seattle, where most of the games nobody on the East Coast is going to see. Now, I would tell you this: my favorite baseball player of all time is Ken Griffey Jr. Okay, and I paid attention to him because I thought he had fun and he was great. Wouldn't have been for injuries, his numbers would be even better than they are. But I've been paying attention to Cal Raleigh for a while, and that's a good thing because Raleigh has been remarkable. There's only 3 games left in the regular season in MLB. Playoffs start Tuesday with some wild card action. Most of the playoff teams have been established. There's a couple more that'll get figured out this weekend, but I've been watching Cal Raleigh. He's played in 156 games. Judge has played in 90-something games. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. The Judge had an injury that slowed him up part of the summer, but Cal Raleigh, I think, should be the MVP for what he has done, being a catcher, being a switch hitter, hitting 60 home runs out of the park. Seattle has won the West for the first time in 24 years. They won their division. So, and he's been a key reason why. If I had a vote, I don't. If I had a vote, it'd be for Cal Raleigh.
And he plays the toughest position too in sports, really. Catcher, if a major league catcher for that many games, no doubt. And he's a good one. I mean, really good catcher. I mean, that's the thing. We're not talking about a
He's
guy
got a
offensive
gun. He's
offensive first minded catcher. He's balanced on both. All right, TK. So tell us about Tremonti's as we get out of here.
everything you need to watch the LSU Ole Miss game. Come get it today. Get it tomorrow. They got all the meat, seafood, wine, and liquor, the ribeye rolls, the shrimp rolls, the 20 flavors of sausage. They got it all. Wine, bourbon, vodka, tequila. They got it all here. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway, right down the street from Parkview Baptist Church and School. I want you to check them out. Okay, one last time, we need to remind you, radio tomorrow is moving on the clock. We will be 12:30 to 2:30, 104.5 ESPN in Baton Rouge. We'll also be on ESPN Southwest Radio in the Lafayette and Lake Charles markets. We'll be live in the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at LeBare's Baton Rouge. So come stop by, get ready to watch LSU Ole Miss and the rest of the college football slate. Or be sure to listen while you're getting ready for that LSU game. 12:30 to 2:30 tomorrow. We appreciate it. Like and share this show, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X. It makes a difference if you like and share this show. So please do that. We appreciate all the comments. Appreciate everybody that watches. A lot of people watch later in the day, even watch it in the evening, and that's fine. We get that. It's perfect. Whenever you can watch Sports Shorts Daily. We've been doing this about 6 years now. Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings, approximately 9, maybe a few minutes after. Whether we're at Tremonti's or I'm at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Whatever, have steak night tomorrow night. After you watch LSU, go get you a nice steak at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. On behalf of Ronnie Rance, I'm Tommy Chrysam. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you on the radio tomorrow and Monday morning with another episode of Sports Shorts Daily.